Yes, well, again, we weren't gonna ask all these, just some of the, and see if anyone has, if anybody wants to venture a guess.
I tell you, there's some of these that I don't know.
I forgot to ask what the state amphibian is.
Why didn't you tell me I had to stand here?
With that, I don't know.
Okay, because we're gonna do the pledge.
Pledge.
We're gonna ask them, we're gonna ask them.
Ask
to lead
someone
us.
to lead it, yes.
Morning.
Good morning.
Come on in. Good morning. Good morning. Come on in, have a seat.
How many are coming altogether? 16.
Oh, good. 16.
That's what I,
And we have these little goodie bags kind of for youngsters. So I'm looking and I'm thinking, they're not going to want Tootsie Rolls and Skittles.
oh, yeah.
I don't know, my grown
Oh,
daughter loves
yeah.
Skittles.
They will.
My grown daughter loves Skittles, yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's addicted to Skittles.
Oh, and I have some.
Got it for everybody else? Girls, you get one? I don't. Yeah. Some more. Yeah. There's a test. Yeah, good for you.
Oh, we got one.
Another one right there. Who doesn't have one? Oh, you want it? Yeah. Right. And paper? You want to read? Yeah. Okay.
Whoops.
I saw that. She's disputing the legality.
Get it.
Hey, Maureen. Yes. I'm right here. If we get to this, here's this.
I like
My
that.
favorite thing.
Oh, that's right, yes. Yes, thank you for that. Deb has so many wonderful ideas. She's just-
Did you get your papers? So we want to get a map for your parents?
So, okay, so they now all have the words. Hi, how are you this morning? You want to pass those out?
What? They'll have them. They're getting the book.
Oh, all right, so they'll be here.
Signing in.
When should you do that right after the meeting?
I doubt it because I think the law has changed, but we have to find out.
We may not have time to do it.
We'll talk to them.
Mine didn't have a seat. Can I bring that pen back for
We can get that. Why don't you just,
I wouldn't, but I mean, can you imagine?
Stick packing upside down here. I think of one-on-one is a good thing.
Wow, we're gonna have a room full here.
Did everybody get one of these? It's something like
It's one of my favorite people. How you doing, Mandy?
Good. We're excited. You're already on the table. You're already
yeah, Vicki and Kathleen, I thought maybe what we could do is, if you choose to ask a couple questions, just take them from there. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. And thank you for accompanying your mom or your dad to work today. Your mom or your dad, or particularly just mom's day to day, have one of the most difficult jobs in this county. They really sincerely do. And we are so appreciative of all that they do for not only us, but for all the people that they serve in this county. So if any of you are maybe giving any consideration to following in their footsteps, please do, because we need all the good, dedicated people possible out there. We'd like all of you to stand and join us, actually, and lead us in the pledges of allegiance as we start all our mornings with the pledge. Please lead it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm Maureen Frederick. I have the honor this year of serving as president of the Board of Commissioners, and I'll let the other two commissioners introduce themselves to you.
I'm Kathleen Chandler.
I'm Vicki Klein.
And we can, I don't know if each commissioner maybe would like to say a few words. We do have some questions prepared for you. This isn't a pass or fail kind of thing. It's just some questions about Ohio, maybe a couple about the county. It's not to stump you, but we just thought we'd pose them, and we do have some things to offer in the sense of if anyone wants to respond and has even close to a correct answer. The other thing is, I'm wondering, is anybody in the room celebrating their birthday today? Tick, 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 tick. How about yesterday? All right. How about anybody born in the month of April?
Oh, come on now. Come on.
The odds of that.
No, April? All right, well, let's go back. Nobody, I can't say May, that's not here yet. Was anybody born in March?
Oh.
Oh, you were, all right. Then you get the $5.
One back here too, Maureen.
Oh,
Were
there
you
is.
born in March? Oh.
No.
All right.
Okay.
No, all right. What comes before March?
February. February.
Is there anybody born in February?
All right.
All right, all right.
Surprised
And you
there's only
win
one.
the $5 that I have sitting up here on my,
Do you see a $5?
somewhere in my papers. Yeah, no, it is here really, so we thought we would do that as an extra special treat. So, commissioners, is there anything you'd like to share?
Sure. I think coming to work day is such an important event because it's a time to understand what your parents are doing on a day-to-day basis, but it's also a time for you to think about your own careers. As you educate yourself about different kinds of subjects, you're going to find that some of them are far more interesting than others. And so you have to start thinking about career and what you would like to do in the future. So this is just one opportunity, but you probably, because of this experience, can start thinking about all other possibilities, and there are so many. Of course, we serve in government, and we love it. So we would encourage you to give it a great deal of thought about the idea of serving in a government capacity, either as an elected official or as in one of the fields of government where we provide service.
Welcome, and I'm so glad you're here this morning. I'm so impressed with such a big crowd. I'm the newest commissioner. This is my second year in office. I'm more new to government. Maureen and Kathleen have much more experience in the government realm. I'm from the private sector. I'm a CPA, so I have some private sector experience. And like Kathleen said, you have many, many choices, government service to others and private sector service to others. But I think that the important thing to keep in mind, it's always better to give than receive. And I think we hear that a lot. It's kind of trite, but it's so true. And as Maureen said, with your parents, whether your father, your mother, or whoever works here, the jobs they do, I mean, it's incredible. They serve other people. There's a lot of confidentiality involved. And if you would choose that, you certainly wouldn't choose it to get rich. There's no doubt about that. But you would choose it to serve others. And like I said, there's so much more to that than getting yourself. But welcome, and I'm so glad you're here.
Kathleen mentioned something, and it just made me, kind of the light went on, I have to share with you, about what my mother did. I could remember one day her saying, I think I'd really like to run for public office. And at the time, I was just, I think maybe I was out of high school, beginning college, and I looked at her and said, are you out of your mind? Who would ever want to do that? And then as the years evolved, and I saw how important people were to her and public service, I garnered an appreciation of that, and then aspired eventually to running for office myself. So, again, I know your ages vary, but think about what it is that your parents do, and really consider it. So, with that, now we have questions here. If we're going to pose a couple of them to you and see if anyone wants to venture an answer. And, again, don't be reluctant to answer. I think when I started answering questions in school, 9 times out of 10 I got them wrong. Does anyone in here know the capital of the state of Ohio?
Oh, my, everybody knows that.
All right, well, I think that young man in the back maybe raised your hand first. Pardon me? Oh, Columbus, all right. Come on up. I guess I should have $1 for everybody who knew it. Something isn't right here. I guess we better get the budget guy up here. And this young lady, this is your the $5 to celebrate your birthday.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you. I have one more question. You know what the abbreviation is for the state of Ohio? And if you watch the Ohio State games, it should give you a clue. Does anyone? Yes? OH, you're right. Come on up.
Wow, $6.
Oh, okay.
Paid for to come here today.
You answered that too, didn't you? Yeah, that's right.
That's her brother, so they're going to share.
Oh, you're gonna. Oh, okay, you're gonna tear it in half. All right. One more, and then Kathleen and Vicki, if you care to. What is the state bird? Okay, this young lady right back here. I can't even hear. Did you say
Blue Jay.
the blue jay? No, but you're close. It's a cardinal. So come on up. No, come on up. That's fine. No, that's. I think they're. You know what? They're both beautiful birds. So I think that was a great answer. All right, Kathleen or Vicki, do you care to? We have some more dollars here.
Does anyone know the state flower?
Oh, there's
Right
some.
here.
Yes.
Yes. Did you notice that the bird
Whoops.
and the flower are both red?
Aha.
Okay.
It's just. Okay, now I
And,
want to.
I want to ask one more.
Okay, before you do that, we're out of fresh dollar bills. Okay, that's fine. I just see how this works. Teamwork. All right, go ahead.
Keeping in mind that the bird is red and the flower is red, what is the state beverage?
Oh.
Can we think red? Yes.
Punch.
That's red. It's pretty close.
That's
It's
close.
Close
It's
enough.
healthier than punch.
Yeah, what is it you put on spaghetti? That's not saucy. Go ahead. Do you want to call on someone?
I think that young man should
Oh,
get
okay.
it.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
It's healthier than pop and punch.
And you don't like
You
it, I
slice
guess.
it and put it on a sandwich.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Tomato juice?
Yes.
Oh, tomato juice, all right. Whoops, come on up. We're replenished here. Oh,
So if you keep in
Oh, I'm
mind that
sorry.
the bird, the flower, and the
yeah,
beverage
all red.
are all red, that helps.
I think the person in the back that had an answer, would you want to give that?
There was one over here that had an answer
Oh,
first, I
okay.
think.
All right, well
He said
then,
punch.
Vicki, you're going to have to cough up some dollars.
You know, did you say punch?
There you go. Thank you.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now, other than us having to go to the treasury and replenish our, no, just kidding, just kidding. Again, it really has been delightful. We want to give you the opportunity also to ask us any questions. Deb Masnick suggested yesterday, and I just love this suggestion, you're going to all love it. These now these are older, but it's called the Portage. And there's some wonderful places in here that were selected when this was done as the best place maybe to have a hamburger or the best place to buy toothpaste, that kind of thing. A lot of them, though, unfortunately, a lot of the ones that were designated the best have maybe since closed or they've moved on. But it's just a really nice reference, and I think if you even want to take it home maybe to your families, and they can kind of reminisce. But one of the things in here, one of the previous commissioners, Chuck Kuiper, actually composed songs, and he played the guitar, and he sings professionally. He, I think, composed this, or he put this together and wanted it put together, and to the tune of
My favorite things from the
My
song.
Favorite Things. So now, Deb.
Oh, I'm not singing.
No, your suggestion was to do.
The children should sing it. I
Yes.
thought, you guys ready? Open up your books.
Okay.
And we're going to start with Neo Yukon. It's now Neomed, but you just follow the tune. I'll play it real quick for you. Oh, we don't have enough yet. This is the song. Do you guys all know it? Okay, ready?
I don't hear you singing.
She said the song was in here.
Okay. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to start.
What page is it on?
Page number 4.
Oh,
We're going to
4.
start. It's going to be Northeastern Ohio University's College of Medicine and Pharmacy. That should be the only one you get through, right? You guys all have your book? Open to page 4. Okay, here we go. Northeastern Ohio University's College of Medicine. That's what he did, didn't he?
These are five of our most favorite things.
There you go.
Okay, that's going on. All right, we'll try that. All right. I guess we'll try that next year. We'll want to take those books home and maybe. All right. Well, that was a nice idea. You're still all going to get some candy. Anything else that I'm forgetting to
I
do
think
here,
Vicki has
please?
Does anybody know Ohio's nickname? And there's a ball team that. Well, you would- yes,
Somebody that has an answer.
that's what I thought too.
We didn't hear the, we didn't hear
Yeah.
the
Okay.
answer.
Good. Back there. That's it. Come on up.
Whoops. Oh, good. Vicki's got
How-
money.
how
Vicki
many
has
county-
money now. What about that, the person way back there? Had the same answer?
He knew it also. He knew it.
How many?
Oh, Cavion gave him the other.
How many county commissioners are there in Portage County?
Whew, I'm glad you got that one.
Oh, I
Okay,
think
well,
that's
you ready
about
to-
it.
Yeah, maybe wrap that up. Anything you want to ask of us, please do. Yes.
How many years do you stay in office?
Well, many people would say too many. I actually started, the first time I ran for public office was in '92, and I ran for county treasurer. And I served there 3 terms, which are 4 years apiece. And I really felt that gave me a very good and solid background, particularly on the finances of the county. And then came up to the commissioner's office, and I shouldn't even probably talk in that way. I am running one more time. So then that would be 4 terms as county commissioner, if I'm successful.
If I could add to that, at the state level, there are term limits, so you can only serve 8 years. Each of those, there's 2-year terms, so you can run 4 times. Then you can't do that unless you stay out a couple of years, and then you can run again. Most terms locally are 4 years, and so you can serve 4 years if you're elected. In order to continue, you have to be reelected.
And I think, though, any of you that might even be just thinking, geez, would I want to do that? You know, explore it. Talk to elected officials or certainly any other occupation or career that you're interested in. You know, go to the source, spend some time with them. Again, you are welcome. If any of you want to spend any time with us during the day, and I can tell you that this job particularly, I feel it's more 24/7, and it is because there are so many things that happen in a community or in this county that I think it's paramount that you attend. There are many boards that we sit on, and they all have meetings. Then there are the committees to those boards, where they look to you and ask you, could you serve on this committee, and offer your suggestions, your expertise. So again, whatever it is, don't get discouraged. You know, if you have an idea or a passion, pursue it. It's a good place to be. Again, as I think somebody pointed out, you're not going to get rich, but there are certainly many other important things in life than just the monetary. Although, yes, it's nice to have the moolah to go around and buy some things too. So, anyway, anything else? Any other questions or any? Does everybody want a package of candy this morning?
We have a question.
Oh, yes.
Like, what kind of schooling did you have to go to, like, college-wise? How long did it take you to?
I'm sorry, what's?
What kind of schooling in college?
Oh, yes, I had the, actually, I think, the pleasure, and it was a pleasure, of being born in Portage County, raised and educated all through college here. And I think that's significant, and I like to talk about that because that means we have some of the most important amenities that there are. If you want to go on to, after secondary, high school, to college, we have 2 wonderful universities here, Hiram College and also Kent State. And we also have Neomed, which maybe many of you are aware of or have been there. And they have a program that they offer high school students. I don't know if any of you are enrolled in it or interested, but that is a wonderful resource. And it turns out physicians and pharmacists. And again, I won't say again, but I had a very dear friend that I went through high school with, very, very accomplished, straight A students. I was not, but he was, and he had the opportunity to go to Harvard. What a wonderful opportunity, and he took advantage of that. And later in life, as I was talking to him, and he became very successful, and as a matter of fact, headed up one of the country's largest banks, and was assigned. He was in London for a while. He was in, I think, Tokyo. And I once said to him, Don, I said, how wonderful what you've accomplished. And I said, and your education at Harvard probably was a catalyst. And he looked at me and he said, you know, Maureen, he said, it was wonderful to go to Harvard. But he said, if you want an education, you can get it at Harvard, you can get it at Kent State, you can get it wherever you are willing to apply yourself and absorb that education that's available to you. And again, there are also other wonderful schools right here. Portage College is out here, a myriad of careers, opportunities that you can learn. So again, I know I'm going on, but I think it's important that we have those resources. And I know maybe many of you, as you're getting older, saying, oh, all I want to do is get out of here. And that's one of the things I really hate to hear, because I think, my gosh, we're losing such a wonderful, precious resource when you younger people want to just go on and go somewhere else. But there are a lot of opportunities here, and there's also, whether, it's overworked or not, it's nice to give back to your community too. So even if you choose to go somewhere else for school, if you could think about maybe coming back here with the skills you've learned or whatever, business acumen you have, and contributing back here in your local, where you were raised, that would be good too. So again, I've gone on and on and on.
I think the question was what kind of education you need to be an elected official. There are some elected officials, such as an engineer, that requires an engineering degree, but many of the offices do not require any level of education. But to be able to do a good job, it's really important to have as much education as you can. And I think most people now continue their education throughout their lives, so it's not just when you're young.
It's an everyday thing. And once you hold elected office, there also are seminars and training that is afforded to you, that sometimes you even have to get certification, but that is available to you, on a yearly basis that you can go. And usually, a lot of them, the state associations are in Columbus, so you get to travel to Columbus. But I'm sorry if I didn't answer your questions thoroughly enough.
It's so good for you to be here this morning, and we wanted you to have some candy as you left.
Could we ask that you take a picture with the group?
Oh, sure.
Do you
We'd
want
love
them
to.
behind you? Or do you want
No,
them to
we'll
come
go
up there?
out there. Yeah.
Okay. Wherever you want us, yeah.
So,
Stay over here, so they're on camera.
Deb said to come behind them.
Oh,
so
okay.
that-
Yeah, you're on camera then.
Oh, wow.
They want them to right behind you.
Oh, okay.
Can we stand in front?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we stand, will it be there?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do something, right? Would that be better?
Okay. And then the students all stand behind you.
Some of the older kids want to come up and stand in the back and the younger kids in the front. Would that be okay? Yeah.
We have a camera up here, so you can go online and you'll see yourselves.
Probably have to push together.
How come everybody's taller than I am?
I know, I'm taller than everybody.
No comment, a little bit taller.
Kim, you're gonna direct them, oh, you got him.
Can I squeeze you in right back here? Between these guys? There we go. Come right here, honey.
Can you get it, Kim?
There we go. Kim's taking a picture. I'm taking
Okay, everybody look this way. 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2, 3. Then look your face. Want to do a fun one?
You should know that you're all on camera, so that you can look it up online. You go online and you can see yourself.
Yes, wave your arm. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for having us.
So let's end. You guys come out this way. I'm working this thing. There you go.
Got all the ponchos I can get.
There you go. There you go. You're welcome. There you go.
Why is there a camera system?
Why? Because we like for the public to be able to watch what goes on in government.
Did you guys all get candy?
They're tax dollars.
Is it out here?
Yeah.
I don't know what maybe.
Is that your own personal stand right there?
These are for the teachers.
Oh.
I will take a picture.
All right, yeah, I'm going for a Tootsie Roll.
You better be on one.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, and we want a copy of the pictures.
Oh, yes, I'll make sure you get them.
Really, these are the most wonderful times when I can do this. Thank you. Thank you. Take care of this. Thank you. Thank you. We're good.
Everybody got some?
Sure you don't want to take some?
That little guy said that he
Thank you
glad
for-
there's an
thank
elevator
you,
because
thank
he
you.
would be too happy if there
I'm
weren't.
so happy. Oh my gosh.
Of course, you know, kids his age are growing, so they're
Yeah.
tired all the time. Not only that, but they have to get up so early in the morning, and it's scientists and educators say that they're at their best.
Do you want to recess for a minute until Maureen gets back?
Yeah.
They're not getting enough sleep.
Recess until Maureen gets back. She's just
Pardon?
recess until Maureen gets back.
Oh, sure.
Oh, she go. Okay. Yeah.
Wishing them farewell.
Morning, Bill.
Good morning. No need to pay me or bribe me with treats.
Well, there's money up here, there's candy, I mean, you know.
And we talked about the fact that the bullfrog is mean. It's also not mean. It's also not.
23 spots.
What is it? It was not an original animal or amphibian, and so it was interesting. Of all the serious things you do, that one was kind of fun.
Okay, can I ask either one of you, did you have a birthday today?
No.
Oh, my
You still
gosh.
have, yeah. Oh, no, you're not part of the, okay, just kidding. We had.
No, but if you're handing out money,
You always take money, right?
Well, no,
That's
but
right.
you can't have a zero pop.
no, I picked up a little weight,
But there's
so
a
it
couple
means
of
I gotta run
suckers
more.
there.
Evidently, we could take it one of two ways, this or us, you know. I see how it is here. No, I know. Hey, there's nothing wrong with some humor in the workplace. We all need it.
Did we, of course, we did not convene because
No,
we just had the
the kids.
children.
All we did was the
of, some of
pledge.
the job and family service workers in, so I don't, you didn't convene us or?
No, we haven't done anything.
Okay, so I would think that we can convene as county commissioners
I'll make
and
a-
recess.
Oh, well, should I make a motion about the consent agendas?
Yes, if you would.
Okay.
Is there anything to be taken out of the consensus agenda?
No, I had a couple questions, but nothing to be taken out.
Okay, so is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agendas and the interim services consent agenda and the Portage County Job and Family Services consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes, all right, we will recess as county commissioners and convene as solid waste commissioners. Mr. Steiner?
Good morning,
Shall I
everyone.
make a
Good morning.
motion to approve the consent agenda for solid waste district?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen? All right.
Yes.
Okay.
If you want to, I'll hold on to that for you.
Well, you know what, at least we didn't ask you to sing a song.
Oh, no, trust me.
And I'll tell you, it went over like a lead balloon.
There is a state law that forbids me from singing in
Yeah,
public.
tell me about it. Okay, all right.
In the privacy of my own car, I'm golden.
That's why I lip sync in church.
Yep, I just stand there and just stare straight ahead.
I'm sorry, I just, obviously, I had too much frivolity and I have your packet. Okay, good. The discussion item?
Discussion items. If you will see, I've given you an email with an attachment for fleet software from Softworks Inc. And you'll notice on this quote It has the fleet maintenance software and the fuel fleet interface system, on-site training, annual maintenance agreement, for a total, and with our discount, of $11,185. This is the same system that the county engineer currently uses. They love it, they rave about it. I've talked to Dale Novak extensively about it. The second one you have
You get
is,
a $500 discount.
yes,
So it's
and,
really,
right, and you'll notice that this has been price protected. My first original quote was 2012, and it's the same price from 2012.
Bill was, or maybe you didn't need that, was Joe Devlin able to help you along?
Well, I actually, I'm getting to that. We are up to the point where the county system was ready to roll towards the district. And I received an estimate of $18,403 just for training on the county system. That's the Assets Works claim, so,
Just for training?
just for training. So what I did was I sat down with Joanne, gave her the quote that I got from Steve Miller. And the one thing that the Asset Works cannot do that we can get is the fuel fleet interface system. So when the trucks fuel up, it will automatically feed into our system. The truck 3616 fill up with 42 gallons of fuel. So Joanne does not have a problem with us doing the SoftWorks. I'm just bringing it to the board to let you know, get your blessing on it. But from where I sit, there's some advantages for us. Every year, 2 people can do free training throughout, so it could be a mechanic or somebody administratively. Again, the county engineer uses this system as well, so we can, if we have a question, we can rely on them. The updates are free. The annual maintenance fee covers everything, and it takes about one day to install with a 1-week notice. Support is 24/7. This gentleman is really good. And I asked about vehicle capacity size. This system is being used in Kenton County, which is just south of Cincinnati, where the Cincinnati airport's located. They have 2,300 vehicles on this system.
Wow.
So,
It'll probably do.
yeah, I think so, yeah. Not that I care to grow to 2,300 vehicles and be the recycling czar of Ohio, but I think cost effectiveness and just being prudent with the budget, my recommendation is that we move forward with the SoftWorks.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the annual update renewal fee?
The annual update is $1,195. That's the annual maintenance agreement from May 1st of 2016.
And
You said
the,
that's fixed still for 3 years?
I believe so, yeah.
and the annual fee for the Asset Works?
I'm not sure. I just got the cost for the training.
Annual fee for the what, did you ask?
The annual fee for SoftWorks is $1,195. I wanted to know what the annual fee for
Asset.
at the Asset Works.
Now, is this what the motor pool has? Is that what?
Yes,
We didn't pay that for training, did we?
I do not know.
If we're ready, I'll make a motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I haven't made it yet, just a second. I noticed in the first whereas it says that the Portage County Board of Solid Waste District Commissioners has one rear-load recycling truck located at recycling center. Oh, this is a different issue.
Yeah, that's on the consent agenda.
Okay.
No, I'm just asking for permission to move forward with this, only because this
So
has
the
to go to.
journal entry,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because I have to go to, this has to go to the data processing board and
Yeah.
things like that.
So we'll just
do a journal.
adjourn.
That will work.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Certainly.
that will work. Thank you.
Okay, and then,
Cautious.
Yes.
is this on the agenda?
Yeah, that's on the consent agenda.
Oh, it's all done.
Yeah, that's all done.
I did have a question, however, if it's okay.
Sure.
On the first thing, it says that which is not needed for public use, the reason for disposal is
Right.
met, or is obsolete, or which one is it?
It's both, actually.
Then you could say
Yeah,
and.
Yeah.
Take out.
Mainly because I'm taking it out of service because it's tired and it's a safety issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just not going to be used.
No, we are, all of the trucks that we've taken out of service, the mechanics have told, we have some practically brand-new tires on some of the old trucks we've declared obsolete. So we're going to do a tire switch out between today and tomorrow. I've already told Joanne that we'll be done, and this will kind of dovetail into something else. I will not be here next week. I will be in Columbus at an EPA meeting, but then we'll bring the resolution to send these trucks to auction. But this one is a 2000 vintage truck, and it's got a lot of miles. And when the driver brought me downstairs to show me his concerns, we took it out of service immediately. But yeah, it's just more of the tired iron.
So are you replacing that truck?
No, actually, that's a rear load truck, and little by little, we're going to start switching the containers over to a front load truck, which is much more efficient and safer for the drivers. We'll probably keep one rear load truck in service in case we get those cases where we get a lot of cardboard, and it makes sense just to send that truck.
I'm gonna have to be careful the next time I say I'm tired, because someone's gonna say, we need to take you out of service. Oh, no terror words.
Oh, hey, we all have
You know
you.
what?
You to the auction.
Yes, I think you should have a piece of candy, because this, for the first in a few weeks that you haven't come in here with some pictures of a truck. Have an owie on it.
Yeah, well, we need to go into exec session.
Oh my God, I spoke too soon.
Yes, yes.
Excuse me.
Careful what you ask
Oh,
for.
my.
I make a motion to go into executive session for, what would this be? Personnel?
Personnel.
Oh, dear.
To consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employer, official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual.
Second.
I know it's the highlight of Janet's day when she gets to come to a solid waste meeting, but
Absolutely.
she's also a busy person, too.
Kathleen?
Yes. Well, I'm back
Yes.
here, I'm back up here 11 too.
Oh, are you?
No, she stays with us.
Okay.
I was going to move my desk over.
You know, I
He got him an ice cream cake, and it was the cutest thing. He does one of these things. They put it in front of him, and he went,
Oh,
He has red all the way around here, and then it went down to the shirt.
Oh,
and
my.
And I saved the shirt, trust me.
Christmas,
Yeah, yeah. So when he's about 16, I plan on throwing that
oh
in
yeah,
his
he'll
face.
really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
guys.
You too.
We gotta make sure that gets.
We're ready to exit? Okay, is there a motion?
Yes. Make a motion that we exit executive session.
Second.
Roll call.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Is there action coming out?
Yes, there is. The board authorized disciplinary action for a driver, and Janet will give you the specifics.
So we need a motion for journal entries. We've got two, one for the softworks to
Oh,
move
yes,
forward.
right.
And then the,
That's fine.
Make a motion to approve the journal entries for today.
A second.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve? It's on the list.
So moved.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
You too, Bill. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And roll call.
Second.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Yes. All right, now we will reconvene as county commissioners. Be excused. I have $5 left. And,
Do you have enough for lunch?
well, and you know, the tragedy here is that I stopped at Wendy's last night on my way home to eat one of those salads, because I thought, we're, getting out of here in Brunswick. got the salad, put it in the refrigerator. Now ask me, did I take it out of the refrigerator this morning and bring it? No.
Well, you know what I did, I don't have a car today, so.
Oh,
If you need something, let me know. I'll take you home or back to the dealer if you need to go back to the car dealer.
Well, I'm gonna call and see what it's gonna be done.
If it's when we're ready,
Okay.
I'll take you to the car dealer.
I don't want to rub salt into the wound. Is this the one you just had repaired?
No, this is a different,
Oh.
this is a different thing. It's the same thing, but a different area,
Well, okay, that rules you out for lunch. No.
Yeah.
No,
Well, but
no.
see, the reason I said that is I had lunch in the fridge too, because I knew I
Oh.
wouldn't have a car, and it's still in the fridge.
Ah, there you go.
At home.
At home.
At home, yeah, with mine.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm
When
going
if I
to,
can do a lunch
Mine
run,
will be for
A lunch
dinner.
bring stuff back, I can do the lunch run.
and you know what? We're both going to want something from places at opposite ends.
No, I'm not picky. I'm not
Well,
picky.
Wendy's has
Go
a
with the flow.
what is it? Grilled chicken pecan, whatever salad that is really good.
That sounds good, you are going to get them.
Well, it certainly, I can tell you the price would be, I think it's worth something for a half or
You
six.
better save your $5.
I better save my $5. All right, sorry for the
Discussion
digression
items.
here. All right, next, please. For our discussion items. Deb, are you facilitating and also doing your?
Yeah, multitasking, you bet.
All right.
Number one is, we just want to make sure that the board saw this email. We were
Yes.
thinking, CPR training, the training on the AEDs, maybe an Alice inspection with every room. We've had the training twice now through the sheriff's office, but just looking to see what we've done and if it's enough. Those are the things. If anything else the board wants, we can look at too.
What were the three things that we,
CPR training,
CPR,
AED training, and then Alice inspection.
Yeah,
the Allison, would that just be for this area, did you say?
This is for your office. This is the commissioner's office.
Yeah, because I've had Allison.
Right, well, this is just for someone to come through and say, yeah, I need another lock here, or maybe
Oh,
do
I
this.
see, too.
Just an
Okay.
inspection rather than the
An
training.
evaluation of
Right, an
our
evaluation.
And AED is what?
It's those things that you use, it's
pump your heart.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
We've had training once before, but it's been a while. I think they're pretty simple, some of the instructions are there. And then Julie said she would be your liaison if you would like her to do that.
Sure. Wonderful. That'd be good. I know I talked about yesterday, of course I see him here with you, he had been at the sheriff's office for the fire inspection. So he's moving right along, which is great. That really works.
Number
Oh,
two is
yes.
an invitation from Tent Displays. They're going to be getting an award as a small business of the year.
That's really exciting.
Yes, indeed.
I started the proclamation,
Okay.
I'm sure one of you will go.
I would like to, I think we could all go if possible.
This would be
I'd
an
like to go.
incoming one here.
No, it's at Tent Displays.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I just misread
Cleveland
it.
District office is
Thought
coming
you
down.
had to travel to Cleveland. so
They're coming down.
No, that'd be wonderful.
And he'll tell me what time,
Okay.
that way you don't have to stay the entire time.
Sure.
It's,
That was quite honest.
Towards the end of May, isn't it? No,
it's next Friday,
next Friday.
but I'll get the time on the calendar, that way you can go right around the time to make the presentation.
What's the date for it?
May 6th,
May
6th.
6th, yeah. I don't know why. Oh, I know, it says 7. Okay, all right, yeah.
Number 3, the board approved, last week, the board approved, authorized water resources to take the numbers from Manway Village.
Right.
Now the second meter's not quite right, so they just want to be able to use the adjusted estimated flow numbers. And they want to bring it back to the board.
Yes.
That's fine. They did touch on that yesterday.
Yes.
So there will be just a journal entry.
Yes.
Okay.
The survey results are in from Oakwood Acres. I haven't seen any more, so we can decide whether to move forward.
The vast majority want to wait, so we should do a journal entry to proceed
With
with the grant, yeah.
Okay, board? So we
Yes.
have to, do that. We have to go.
On Gene Roberts, I think we need to accommodate his his concern. So if we can ask Janet to work with Denise and figure out how to do that.
Denise is going to be here today, apologizing.
Okay.
Yeah, as we should. I believe, he did talk to us about that.
Yeah, he did.
You know the old adage, never assume, but I thought when we talked conference call with Denise, she was going to be getting with him, and again, I just figured all those things would be addressed. But, we also need to let resources know.
Did you send them an email about May 9th?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
will
I
probably-
know.
As of yesterday, they were anticipating Mr.
Right,
Roberts
May
to be
2nd.
here on the 2nd. Okay, so we'll proceed. And the other thing is so that we could,
Information number 1, having some of the original, and number 2, the water resources for the application.
oh, good. Okay, any questions on any of that? Board, we can proceed here. Internal services? is
Who,
there-
just who does the site plan amendment? How does that work? I mean,
Streetsboro?
number 2?
That's Streetsboro, I was just telling you, you must have property somewhere.
Okay.
You wanted to talk, is this an exec session item about the interviews for water resources?
Oh,
Is that
yes.
exec
Well,
session?
I had sent both of you an email wondering if we could, do you want to talk about this in executive session?
It's about an hour's drive. I did check. Remember we talked about how far it was?
Oh, okay, well, again,
Yeah.
there was one individual of
Yes,
the
I
three
know.
thus far
Right.
that I thought might interest us to at least contact. Again, it's open, we're not making any selections,
Right.
but,
I think there was one, I
Yes.
agree, there was one.
Yes.
all right.
Yeah.
I just thought we should probably contact that individual.
Yeah, and schedule them to come
Yeah,
in.
just to let them, all right, so you want to do that with Janet Kovic? We could ask her to
Sure.
come back sometime this
Yeah.
morning.
You want her to come up today?
Or just,
She's coming back up.
okay.
Oh, all right,
at
so,
11.
all right. Yeah, that would be good, wonderful, okay.
And then we're moving forward with the interview process for your new temporary person. And the question is, does the board want a background check? That's what the temp agency asked. This is Janet Kovic's response.
Geez, it seems so sinister, but.
Well, she'd be working
Yes.
with very
Oh, I
sensitive
agree.
information, so I think absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree, I agree.
Yes, I think so also.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it has to be, I agree. Okay, so do we want to journal entry, no, just authorize you, yes, please stipulate that. Oh, by the way, having read this name, last name Ryan, made me recall yesterday, and I believe I sent both of you the notice from Ryan Shackelford.
Yes.
And I'm, the only thing I'm laughing at, as soon as I took his call, it was, "Hi Maureen, it's another wonderful day in paradise." Well, no, you just had to be,
Yeah.
you're kind of caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I detected, oh, okay, so as a matter of fact, I shared with him, Julie and I have a saying for those special days.
Yeah.
That we're living the dream. So
Yeah.
I suggested that maybe he would want to start referring to those days as living the dream.
Yeah.
So he said he was going to give that careful consideration. Okay. All right. We are waiting for Joanne.
Mike, do you need to put a correction in the paper about that May 9th with Gene Roberts, or how do you handle that? Because I know we've given you that because we thought that was the date, but,
Yeah, I'll probably just put
Okay.
something in there that date was changed. to make it-
okay.
Yes. Not to be confused with, he decided he doesn't want to come.
Oh, yeah, don't put that in there. Well, it would be wonderful.
Oh, yeah. I agree. Boy, Joanne is. Morning, Rand. Good morning. Feel free to take either a dot or a.
Chocolate Tootsie Roll Pop, huh?
Blue. I can tell you the nuggets is first one. at the end.
Nuggets or kisses?
Yeah, or kisses, right.
Okay. The old bartend vacancy, they did come in and look at it a second time and want to set up a third time to bring one of their contractor kind of people in to kind of look to see what might need fixed for their
Oh, that's good.
stuff. So it's still continuing to look a little promising. Number 4, the Kent Muni Concrete. They want to seal it Saturday, but I heard on the news this morning that we're expecting to have
Right.
40% chance of rain Saturday, so now I'm guessing that that might get postponed.
Sure.
I did not check mark number 5, the replat survey Brady Lake property, because I know that you talked to Denise about something with that, and I haven't reached her yet to talk to her about it, to see what you guys discussed with her on what to do.
You actually did a journal entry on Tuesday
Yeah.
authorizing Joanne to create a plat of what it should look like.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
I did a survey done of something or whatever, so.
That's already been done though, right, Joanne? Didn't you
No.
say?
It's
The
not.
original survey was done showing
Okay.
that her house was on our
Okay, so we
property.
need another survey.
That's what I'm hearing that you
But
want
we're
done.
Only for our property, not.
Yeah, and I need to talk with the surveyor about that particular piece then. The Board of Elections office space.
Yes.
We did select DS Architects. They wanted to start with a meeting to talk about how to proceed, but they wanted to proceed by doing a program on if they move to a different spot, how they will spend dollars creating the right spot for them for temporary. And then they wanted to do a program for their permanent space to see if they were all going to fit downstairs. Well, in my mind, I think right now they should concentrate on doing the program for the space that's there to see if
So
they're
we
going to
know.
fit. Right.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't waste hours or time doing a program for somewhere where they might go, because we're not sure
Because it might
where
not
they
be
might go.
temporary. It might
Exactly.
not be temporary.
Yeah, so that's what I would like to respond to Summers and say, this is where we think we need to concentrate first, is get the program down, exactly the space that they're going to need, and then we'll go
Yeah.
temporary when we're ready for temporary, but
Yeah.
I think they wanted to start too broad.
And I think the reason that we're wanting them in the first place is to make sure that they can fit there.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
That's what
Right.
makes logical sense to me.
So that
Okay.
we're not out shopping for a building if not
And
necessary.
I think we need to talk about where we move them temporarily, assuming that the space downstairs can be renovated appropriately. And I keep thinking that we have the 6th floor that we could vacate. We have other space in the building that could accommodate. It would save all that money for rent. And then the good news about it is that if Board of Election moved there and then moved back out, it would be empty and we could go ahead and renovate the 6th floor at that point. And then when the people that live there now move back, it would be a much nicer space.
It would be done.
Yes.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense
It
to
certainly
me.
does. However, I mean, well, not however, but we have a very big consideration with IT as to
Correct.
whether that can.
Where we can actually move them. I know
But
that
I
we
agree.
couldn't, I know that we could not move the IT server room. That would have to stay up there, which that's fine. Because when I'm trying to look at the square footage, it seems like there's a lot of square footage in the rest of the part of that could be set up for them as long as they're receptive to it. It also could possibly mean that we need to store some of their stuff in other areas in the building. And I think we could do that as well and keep them secure so that they don't worry about that.
And it'd be accessible.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another concern, the accessibility, but it's just.
But I think that's the best thing to do, is to try to fit them within here somewhere. And that's also why I think, let's not worry about the temporary space, because if we can move them, we'll take their counter and move it up to the 6th floor if that works out for everybody. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Okay. The next piece that I had was the electrical rates. CCAO, I know, came in and talked to you guys, and I'm not quite sure. I know that they kept asking for your approval to proceed with going with their program and having them do an RFP, but I don't think I heard you guys say that you were going to do that.
Well, we feel that we needed your input. You were busy, couldn't be in the
Correct,
meeting.
yeah.
And it sounded like they were giving us a good rate, but we don't know.
Right.
We need to have you do the homework and the research to come back with a recommendation.
Well, and they won't give us a rate, because what they want to be able to do is, they want to take all of our accounts and do an RFP to get rates to shop all of the providers, like I would do.
yeah, but that's-
The only rate that
Yeah.
we actually got was the one that came in from NOPEC,
Yeah.
from Charlie.
But that's not kind of what I understood. That's the process they use.
Correct.
The question for us was, there's 50 counties in Ohio that joined together, just like our electric program, our gas
Gas.
program, and they've joined together, and because there's such a volume of people and energy needs, they get a very good price when they go out to bid. And so what he's asking us, do we want to join the CCAO electric program just as we have joined the gas program? And he projected how much it would save based on past experience, based upon what we're paying now. So what I think we're asking is for you to explore that idea, to find out whether or not this would be a benefit to us.
Are you saying there's something that's skewing this?
Well,
They're doing what you would do, is what you're saying.
Right.
well,
They're-
Yeah, I think.
yeah, it's one person does an RFP or one doesn't. We would only have the experience of our county. CCAO has the experience of multiple counties together, so the buying power obviously is greater through
Well,
that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the one question that I had that I still don't think I have
Clarity?
a good understanding of is, we're with NOPEC. And then they said that NOPEC is for residential. I thought it was for commercial as well and for large organizations, but they said it was not. So if we're not using the benefit of the buying power that NOPEC can provide, which is the largest aggregation anywhere, then maybe joining the CCAO with 50 counties bidding gives us a much better price than just one county bidding.
Well, and when Charlie came in and brought the proposal or I don't think he came in with that. I think he gave the proposal to Jeff, and then you guys got copies of all of it, but he took all of our buildings, the 101 buildings that Water Resources had, and that's what he gave us the NOPEC pricing on. So it's obviously they can go into commercial areas.
He did
Yeah,
mention no
yes, yeah. That,
Maybe when it was first started, it was
They couldn't.
residential, now it's
Yeah.
commercial.
Yeah.
But could you do the homework
Okay.
and bring back some numbers for us?
Okay.
Because it's very attractive to think that we can have better buying power with a large group like
the best that I'll be able to get from CCAO probably is what they currently are being able to offer the people that are in that co-op.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a concern, and I shared it with them before I even expressed that. I know we told them what we usually do, and I want to continue to do, is ask you to present to us all of the options of having various prices, or whoever your potential vendors are. And I thought the one gentleman said that he's already been in contact with you when you're doing that, and that's fine. The thing I'm just a little concerned about or leery, they do, when they said, we will do an RFP. I don't know if that, what that obligates us to do with them for having them do our RFP. If we, as Kathleen said, join with those other 50, does that limit who they reach out to? And why would we not want to do our own RFP?
Well, I think I can answer that
No, but
because
I want to know, okay, and that's
May I?
fine, but I want to know from Denise.
Well, because I was the representative for the gas program.
Sure.
What happens is that we can do an RFP alone with just our county, which has limited needs, and get a price. Or if we join the CCAO program, there are 50, if we joined, I think, 51 counties that would be going together, which has a much greater buying power. And because of the economy of scale, we should get a much better price. Unlike gas, the electricity cannot be stored. And so sometimes it's, it's not always that you can get the very best, but I think we have a much better buying power by going with a larger group.
And that's fine, Kathleen, and I do understand, I appreciate that. I want to make sure we're not excluding, or that we're within, I guess, legally our bounds. And then
Well,
I
and
do have a.
Yeah, what I
kind of
think.
is a departure from what we do.
Right.
Not that that's bad.
Right.
But I want
What
to
I think
understand.
is supposed to happen is that we would join, if you would, the CCAO and electric program through their service piece.
Somewhat like we joined NOPEC, right?
Well, yeah. And by virtue of that, then we're saying, okay, we're going to commit to you probably no more than 3 years, because I wouldn't go out any further than that, 2 to 3 years. We're going to commit our electrical usage to your, and they're going to go out and they're going to do an RFP. And from what I could gather from the piece that I was able to listen to that day, they said they check everybody and go, and multitude of different companies, which are probably some of the ones that I usually, ask. So, but I think to start with, I'm going to find out currently what those counties that are in the participation, what
Yes,
they're
all right.
able to get,
Okay.
what NOPEC showed us, and then I can even go out and look at some of the ones that we contact on our own and see what their rate is.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I know I posed to them, it's the same providers that are in other counties, and he said, yes, but not necessarily so. I mean, in the sense of, again, I'm thinking we want the most comprehensive.
Right, and some providers only go to certain areas too.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think maybe your suggestion was very warranted. Are there any of those providers, certainly some of those counties, that haven't been given quite a stellar performance? And I don't know that.
Yeah. So let me do some more, now that I kind of get the lay of the land here, I'll do some more checking on that for you.
Is there any thought that we might reconsider looking at the solar? I know we kind of ruled it out, because that's another opportunity to save money.
Well, I don't think we, well, in my opinion, I thought we all felt collectively it was a good thing to pursue. There were a lot of questions. I know at the time they had only 1 or 2 other counties. I don't know what they have now. Again, we had to somewhat literally be locked in for 20 years, was it? And, they said everything's paid for. Those are just the things you want to hear.
Was that Palmer Energy? Is that what-
Yeah, Palmer.
Yes, that was
Palmer.
CCAO, hired Palmer.
But it's
Yeah.
Palmer, and it's Palmer, again, with the, the electric and they may be able to do these things. I just want to know that
I think the reason we tabled that is there was a lot of questions that we weren't real sure of.
Right. I think one of the reservations is what Maureen just brought up, that only 2, but the program just started. So maybe just an update about
Sure.
that program as part of your analysis.
Sure, I'm sure they can give me an update.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's,
The rest are still kind of at status quo. I know that they were supposed to submit a grant for the culvert on the rail line. NOPEC Energy, we've identified the Riddle Block as having some problems, so I think that that's going to be the area that we concentrate to try to get the grant for that. And I'm thinking that the microfilm part-time job description was presented to you by Janet, and I did not hear yet if it was approved or not. If it was, then I'm sure we're going to get ready to to publish it and so forth,
Right.
advertise.
Yeah, I had one.
Sure.
On the WIC building.
Yes.
It's my understanding that the signs are on the back of the building by the parking lot, but not in the front of the building. So
Oh.
we would like, I think we would like to have a sign in the front of the building as well as the one that's in the back.
I'll ask maintenance where they put them. I would have assumed they would have hung them in the front, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll check that.
Okay.
Where is that right here?
We kind of like to have, keep it
Sure.
where it is, but have
I
another one.
don't, they should put them all,
All
at all,
everywhere.
yeah, anywhere anybody parks, sure.
Right.
Even on the
Well, that's
sides.
what they did. They put them in the parking lot, which is the back of the building.
Not the road.
But we need one in the
Front,
front of the
too.
building so people driving by can see it.
Well, and there's parking in the front too, which I'm surprised, but I'll find out, and we'll put some more up. That's not a problem.
Thanks.
That's it on the updates?
Yes,
Do you need an executive session?
I do.
She does.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual.
Second.
Second, any further discussion? Not, roll call.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes. Oh, I think, oh my goodness, Brad is going to want us to really get into the discussion on those proposals.
You know what, he's going to recommend, and then come back next week, I think.
Oh,
What he
good,
said,
good,
yeah.
that'll give us
Because I
enough-
told him
yeah,
that
right.
that's not enough time.
No, it really
And he's the
isn't.
one that's gone through these and
Yeah,
knows,
that's good.
you know, so.
That's good.
I think we're just gonna go with his
Is
recommendation.
there a motion to exit?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Is there action coming out?
No, no, what do you think? No. No action. Specific action, no. Okay. Budget and finance?
I think he's on his way.
So this is a replacement for a couple of different things. This is a replacement for the workers' comp. And then you have this letter
Yeah,
from
we got
Janet.
that.
Yes,
Wait,
right.
that's your copy, Maureen. Kathleen, do you
Yeah,
have
I've
your
got-
copy here?
Yes, I've got mine.
Okay, I'm going to talk to Scott about
This is
this.
a replacement. And then did you bring your copy of this letter in?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, so that's what Todd's going to be talking about.
Oh.
Do I have the replacement?
all right. Got it? You said a couple of things, is there something else?
There's two. There's the letter and then
Oh,
there's
all
the
right.
workers' comp.
Huh. Okay, if I start on this, I know what's going to happen.
Come on down, Todd.
Oh, I knew that would happen as soon as I took these out and showed up. Not that I'm not glad to see you.
You know, Todd, this is a question that probably I should know the answer, but I'm used to seeing balances like debits and credits, and sometimes when they don't, like this, I mean, is it, what,
That's what, between all those, that's how much we're moving up and that's how much we're moving down, which
okay, so
really
it
doesn't mean very
necessarily-
much.
Yeah, okay.
Really, it's just a way to double check that we're on the
Okay.
right document.
All right.
By the way, it goes without saying, I'm sure, but your input, what you offered yesterday in that meeting was invaluable.
I heard you were a star. So I was ready to give
Kept
you a
telling
star
them no,
today.
so I don't know.
No, I think particularly Todd, because of, and they have some profound needs.
Mhm.
The equipment, I was so impressed with them not only talking about it, and they did in a conservative sense, I thought, but
Mhm.
also that they were willing to look at the universal application of this
Mhm.
equipment.
Yeah.
And then, the trucks, I was sharing with Kathleen and Vicki
Yeah,
about
we have
the
to look
trucks.
at that.
But then, like she just said, as you usually do, so tactfully said, this is all well and good. However, we need a total,
Yeah.
and then we need you to then prioritize, because
In case we can't get to it all.
yes, because there's a very real possibility. And I think
Yeah.
for one of the first times, it became even more clear to me that those balances, well, again,
Aren't necessarily flush.
well, you know,
That's-
they
yeah.
are on the surface, and I know you've talked about this and how the $5 million isn't that much, but I'm more concerned now with how far out that goes and the overall cost of water resources. And we touched on that yesterday, only in the sense of we need to do this with all our departments, in the sense of looking at, knowing in advance and looking at the structures and seeing if there are some things we can do. And it wasn't in the sense of a threat at all, but just so they would understand too, you have to look at all of it.
Absolutely.
The functionality to support.
And when you spend it, you spent it, so make sure that's really what you wanted.
Would you hand that to me, Kathleen, please?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, well, I've got some of those here. All right, well, go ahead.
Did you want
I'm
to proceed?
sorry. Sure.
Basically, if you just take the agenda, all the resolutions have changed. And I
Oh,
apologize for
okay.
that. All. So,
Okay.
Now,
this
I
is,
think nice thing I just said about you.
yes, that's why I waited. Get all that out of the way. This is the general fund. There's only two changes
So
on
should we
that.
just get rid of this, what we've got here?
Yeah, just the top agenda sheet's the only thing worth looking at.
Okay.
If you go 1, 2, 3 pages in, so actually on the fourth page, turn 3 pages, on the fourth page of the general fund. It'll start with juvenile court at the top and end with the engineers department at the bottom. The only difference between what you were given yesterday and today, and the sheriff, we've added $1,817 for his FOJ, furtherance of justice, that we talked about when they were in here. The sheriffs were given a raise, but they don't actually get them. But the furtherance of justice is a percent of the legislated amount, so the further of justice did go up even though his pay doesn't, so we adjusted that. And then right below that, the engineers department, the $379 on both sides was added. Tia emailed me this morning that they needed that, and I told her we could get it in. So those two changes, otherwise this is the same as what you saw.
Why is there something in the middle? Is this an increase or a decrease? Must be an increase.
What page is
Okay,
that
so
on?
they're all of them, they have it in the middle.
Oh, you have an old one.
Okay,
The one you just gave.
Discard that and use the new one.
Is that, did I just give you that?
I thought it was. I got confused.
Oh, no, maybe I was given two of the same.
I had two maybe. Maybe
That
I
could
two
be,
of the
yeah,
other ones.
yeah. So otherwise, basically, this is moving the telephone monies for the December through March. That's the bulk of this. In fact, aside from that FOJ, and there's one adjustment in juvenile probation. They just are moving from their 4 to their 5s. Otherwise, all of this is for phone charges.
Make a motion to amend the general fund 2016 annual appropriation resolution number 15-1063, adopted December 15, 2015.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki? Yes. Maureen?
Yes.
There's this one. This is the first non-general fund resolution. The only difference between this and the one that you were given yesterday is Fund 7224 has been removed. Otherwise, everything else is identical to what you had.
Make a motion to amend the non-general fund 2016 Annual Appropriation Resolution Number 15-1064, adopted December 15, 2015.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
This is actually a second non-general fund budget amendment. This you did not have at all. In some ways you have, in some ways you don't. What happened on Tuesday, we did a budget amendment to the workers' comp fund. The certification was being pulled down. Oh, here. I've been there. The certification was being pulled down, so we pulled down the appropriations to match that. From the time this budget amendment was submitted, expense correction was actually done that Tuesday that moved some of the expenses to a different line, a different group of lines. It moved it from the 4s to the 9s, which put the resolution we passed Tuesday into conflict with actual expenditures that were now showing up. So what this resolution does is it rescinds the one that you did Tuesday, and then it takes Tuesdays and what I had put for 7224 on today's, merges them both, and gets a correct resolution.
So then-
And that will cover this letter,
Good.
yeah. That will
Okay.
address the letter
All right.
and make us good there.
Shall I go ahead and make a motion? I make a motion to rescind Resolution 160352 and amend the non-general fund for the 2016 Annual Appropriation Resolution Number 15-1064, adopted December 15, 2015.
Second.
Any further discussion? Clarification needed. If not, roll call.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
And then this is the workers' comp resolution. There's only a few tweaks that just is still consistent with what you had yesterday. Basically, the auditor asked for a resolution rather than the journal entry that we had submitted. This is the wording that we believe she wants, and so this rescinds the journal entry and replaces it with this resolution.
Well, it doesn't say anything in the title.
You know what, in it, the first resolved does have that rescind. If we want to put that in the title, we
Okay,
can.
we'll adjust this, Deb. Make a motion to approve the chargeback rate for 2016 workers' compensation of 0.85%. The Board of Commissioners rescinds Journal Entry 2, number 1, from the April 21st, 2016 meeting, and that's it.
That'll cover it.
Second.
Any further discussion? Clarification needed on that? If not, roll call.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
And then this is a very rough draft. I just wanted to get your thoughts.
Thank you.
So the format, and this is just very simple, but we were talking about the sales tax fund. The first column there is actual expenditures. The commissioners, that fee expense, that's what the state charges us to collect and distribute our money. So that's roughly 1% of what we bring in. We did just get an installment yesterday of $350,000. So that's our first monthly installment of revenue.
Okay, say this again, Commissioner's fee expenses.
Yeah, that's, the state charges us 1% to collect the sales tax
Oh,
and send it
okay.
back to us.
I wonder if we can, if we're going to show this in all public record, and we want to.
Make that a state,
Well, yes. because
state
otherwise
finance charge or
Some
something.
enterprising individual is going to say, oh, the Commissioner's got $3,740.67, which we did not.
Yeah, we can call that the state
And I see
finance
it,
charge.
and I know it says expenses, but it doesn't delineate.
Yeah.
The state got that.
Absolutely. On the sheriff end, he spent the $109,000 there roughly in labor expenses. I don't know if you wanted it broken out between salary and benefits, or if you just wanted it
No.
as labor like that.
That's fine.
Okay. And then probation just started charging one of their workers. So that's the actual expenses.
Okay.
Around $120,000 have been spent so
Great.
far. My questions come in the anticipated column.
Sure.
The $350 in fees, that will happen. The sheriff spending almost the $600,000 in labor. That's his $400,000 for road deputies, and then those 3 corrections officers that we moved. That will happen. The jail modification, I wasn't sure if we wanted to put a figure anymore, given that we're including now, or maybe including the second remodeling area where the rec room was. I assume those costs will go up.
I have some concerns about putting anticipated costs.
Mhm.
I would rather report what the
Just what
actual
it is.
expenditures are and what the actual income is.
And just leave it at
And then
that.
as we spend it, it would be
Okay.
reported that way.
We can absolutely do that.
Because it may be confusing, I think.
Okay.
Well, all right, it may be, it just seems, because there has been really, and we're talking about the length of time and the fact as the money has been available, I still think, again, the public may not recall, or, well, they may not recall the, I want to say gestation, why we did this. And I think showing them that these are, I don't know, anticipated or probable, or, I don't know, if there's some way to convey it that would be more palatable.
We could add some dialogue at the bottom that listed
I would
without a
just like-
dollar
I
figure.
would just like them to know that the things that we tried to drive home initially, that, you know, what happened with that? I thought you were going to make some changes at the jail. I think it's paramount that we show something there.
Well, we could do
Well,
it the way he's suggesting by putting a little footnote indicating
Right.
anticipated
And,
expense.
you know, you're right, that 1,200,000 could very well be 1,000,005 or 1,600,000.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
the
closer
good
to
thing-
two if it's,
The
but then
good
we go
thing
to the
is,
pound.
because they thought about that,
Yeah.
and the architects are who they are, that they're going to be able to take more of that facility and redirect it, or,
Mhm. To get more beds. in.
right, you know, renovate it, so that maybe the necessity for a pod is not
Right.
going to be out there.
Right.
To me, that's what the public should know and would want to know.
Mhm.
So I would, again, I'd like us to do that.
Todd, this first column, is this actual money that's been spent?
That's out the door already,
Right.
yes.
Okay, it's been spent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we could,
That is the actual.
yeah, if we could, you know, again, somehow convey this, because again, people wanted to know, is there going to be more deputies on the road? Well,
Mhm.
yes.
And we could, in the sheriff, I could break that out between
Well,
road and corrections if you wanted, or we could just add verbiage,
I think
increase
the
road.
verbiage, I think, would be
Yeah.
good.
Just put some description.
Yeah.
We can do that for increased road patrol.
yeah, I call it what you want, but I just want people to understand.
And then at the bottom, we could have like pending projects, jail modification, design currently being reviewed by an
Yeah.
architect without, don't put dollar figures.
Right,
Do you want to do that?
right.
Because it's
Okay.
risky putting
Sure,
dollar
yeah,
amounts.
right, I don't know. No,
Yeah, and that's, like I said, I anticipate that'll go up
Yeah.
for the modification part, but then as you
Well,
point
sure.
out, it may delay the pod.
Sure, and if, again, remember when we first talked about it, we had no trouble referencing 1.2 million, 1.2 million, because that's what we felt was going to happen. So
Right.
that's what would evolve. In this case, it may go up, but,
Right.
so to me, there's nothing wrong with us saying, it's probably going to go up,
Mhm.
but here's the benefit of what they were able to do or discover when they delved into it.
Right.
Okay. All right, so I'll add some description there, take out the anticipated and just put in the verbiage, and then
Right.
we can look at it next week.
Sure.
Does that sound good?
And could I ask for a very brief executive session for personnel?
Sure, for,
I'll read, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual.
Second?
that's something before, that always seems so awesome, doesn't it? I mean,
It always sounds bad, too. It's
Ominous,
not always
yeah.
bad. It's not bad.
No, roll call.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes, no, it does, it
I
always
know.
sounds,
Sounds ominous.
yes, on the.
You don't want to probably be in here.
I'm worried, but we'll see.
Some dots
Tootsie Pops.
Yes.
I'll share.
Oh, I love chocolate. I got a donut the other day.
No,
I'm
darn
not
it, I was
comfortable.
hoping that would be listed.
Are we on? I make a motion.
Bill and I left them there for years. We're like, that could be for somebody else. Okay, you're on.
A motion to come out of executive session.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Is there action?
There is no action. There will be now, though. No, just, I'll segue into, oh, forget it. It's just, sorry. By the way, I gotta digress and just thank you for the opportunity this morning. Those children were absolutely delightful. They really, really were. And so responsive.
We were really pleased with the turnout, how many employees, children, we had 2 grandchildren too in the crowd, so
Is
that
that
was
right?
nice. Yeah, they asked and we thought that would be nice, so thank you. They really enjoyed themselves, especially the dollars this morning.
Yes, whatever for dollars,
Yeah.
diamond for dollars, right? Yeah. We enjoyed them immensely, and they asked some good questions, and we just had fun, period. And we want 19 8x10 glossies of
Those pictures, yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. No, that's fine.
Okay.
Would I be able to ask that we go into executive session first instead of the open agenda? It's just because Denise is here, and that way she doesn't have to deal with our
Make a
entire
motion to go
agenda.
into executive session for the purpose of, to consider appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual. Was there any other reason to go?
No.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
I did not show it. I told them about it too.
I couldn't get the word out this morning. Excuse my hunger, excuse my hunger pangs, but okay.
Okay, do we want to start with E then?
Yes, why don't you-
Exit executive session, a journal entry to accept the recommendation to extend a probationary period for an employee.
Yes, okay, we're doing that. Kelly Jo will give you
You're still off. It's not on yet.
oh, specifics. Oh, all right.
Okay, you're on.
Oops.
Make a motion to come out of executive session?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Is there action coming out?
Yes, there is. Have a journal entry extending the probation and wage increase for a job and family service employee. Kelly Jo will give you the specifics. We also are accepting
Resignation.
of a job and family service, children's services worker.
Effective tomorrow.
Yes, effective tomorrow, and Kelly Jo will give you the specifics. Is that, I think that's it.
Does Deb get a copy of this first? This is what she has copied to Deb.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's what I brought that in.
Anything else?
Yeah, she's got stuff here.
Right.
You ready?
No, I know that.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean,
No.
the sense of the, on the executive session.
No, that was it out of executive session.
All right.
Okay.
Ready? Oh. Yes?
Yeah.
Can I draw your attention to open agenda item 1E first? We're going to go out of order.
If I can get you, let me get you. Kelly Jo, that's you, okay. Yes, please do. It'll take me probably this whole meeting to get caught up to where I am.
Should I start, do you want me to just start a little bit?
Sure, I got
Okay.
1E.
Okay. So as you know, I know Commissioner Klein more intimately that with comprehensive case management and the Workforce Investment Board's
initiatives. We're moving into case management, all of the counties effective July 1st, 2016. And so over the last 6 months, we've been in a lot of planning to develop our program in preparation. The state Job and Family Services gave us some guidelines for what the case management positions should look like, but they didn't define specifically what the qualifications should be, so we did that ourselves. And in this packet, you'll first find a created JFS intensive case management position that we tailored using some of the requirements from state requirements, as well as reflective of our hours of operation and our vision here at Portage County. We will have the case managers employed with Job and Family Services effective July 1, and we would like to start out small with just a few, and then the resources and the services, we will, at a later time next month, be talking about how we'd like to contract out for that. So I would like for all of you to review the new job description. The union president and vice president met with me several months ago, and they were in agreement with this new job description. It would be a bargaining unit position. Janet has placed it also in this packet in the bargaining unit wage scale. You want to talk about that? You want me to keep talking? Pay range R. So we plotted it in there between an eligibility specialist who determines public assistance benefits, and between the social service, children's services worker who investigates abuse or neglect. We found that medium was the best tier for that level, because they are going to work with people with barriers, drug and alcohol, mental health, housing, but not as severe, fortunately, as child abuse and neglect. So there was an existing training officer position in pay range R that we don't utilize. Also, the union is aware of that. We want to remove that position, add the case manager. And I don't know the history, Janet, so help me out, but that wage had been lower than the two historically. So we would like to move that wage to a starting wage of $15.12, so it evenly falls between the two levels. Correct, Janet? Somehow it never got addressed in the past.
Because the training officer has been vacant for so long that whenever we, through negotiations, whenever we updated the wage scale, that one was just never updated because it was vacant for so long. So that's why, unfortunately, it fell behind the scale.
But we would like to remove that one and then add the case manager.
So, you're only adding one case manager now?
Well, we're adding the description, but funding will allow us to add 7, but I'm going to share that with you next month, because that's a different piece all in and of itself. But I would like for you all to support the creation of the position, the salary that we are proposing in Appendix A, and then Janet and Denise drafted up a memorandum of understanding for our union. They haven't returned it back in physical form yet, but verbally gave permission, so that's kind of still out there. There might be some modifications, but at least I'll let you reference the MOU that you all created.
Yeah, we just drafted an amendment, a sidebar, because you're really amending the agreement, because the wage scale is Appendix A to the collective bargaining agreement, so you're amending the agreement and modifying that pay scale as Kelly has described. So that's essentially what the agreement said.
What action do we need to take?
The approval of the job description and the agreement amending the wage scale, correct?
And do we not also have to omit the...
Oh, yeah, you would have to, yes.
I think this is going to allow you to accomplish what you need to do, and very nicely.
Yes.
Hopefully everybody will get that. So you're right. Those 3 things we need to do. Is there?
So we do a journal entry indicating approval of the job description for the intensive case management position, approve the wage compensation change, and also omit the trainer position.
You have to create that position too, or no?
It's created.
The case manager, yes, it's created. It's being created right now.
So that was.
Yeah, Kelly Jo she attached the new
Sure.
job description. She's, yeah.
So all those three things, okay, board? Yes. Journal entry eyes? Well, we have
Does
to
Deb
do
have
all
copies of this?
Yeah.
You do, okay.
Okay, see, I am hungry.
So you take pay range R,
Yes,
job description says Q.
Ooh, a lollipop.
does it?
So it's R.
It's R. Yeah, it should be pay range R.
That was a new word. I coined a new word. Oh, I
No,
have to take that
Janet,
from you.
the job description needs to be changed to R. It has a Q on it.
Oh, job description.
Yeah.
And then you'll bring back the MOU.
Just
Sign it.
signify that.
They have to,
Okay,
the
and ours
union
is
has to sign, so I'll bring it back
As a
up.
resolution, because we would look for it as a resolution because they adopted the CBA as a resolution.
Okay.
So just to amend the CBA, right?
So we will add that to the journal entries when we journal
You haven't done that yet,
entryize everything after, before you.
Signature.
Okay.
Okay. Then I'm good. I can move to 1A then?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Kelly.
You don't want to hear about the fair? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Janet, I can't take this from you.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think you can have a lollipop, but if you want it.
Oh,
No,
no,
I don't
no.
want it. No,
Now
it
you made
wasn't
me
mine.
feel
It
bad.
was
Take
just
it.
sitting there. No, I don't, no.
Thanks again.
Thank you. So moving back to the beginning of the agenda, 1A, just wanted to make you aware we would like to participate in the Randolph County Fair again this year. Last year was a success. We allowed employees to man the table in 2-hour increments on work time because they are promoting our services, community education.
Do you get them a pass, I hope?
Oh, yeah, we purchased passes, so all of them have a pass. And last year we were outside, this year I think we're gonna make it indoors, so we'll wait to see the outcome of that.
Oh, gosh, I hope it's not too hot in there for you.
We'll bring fans.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Feel the hot air around.
So item 1B, Foster Parents Month. May is Foster Parent Appreciation Month, and we are recognizing our foster parents by sending them a thank you letter, and I think that you all might have signed those for us, and also providing them with complimentary zoo tickets to take the
nice.
children to the zoo.
Wonderful.
Yes. 1C, different division, our Public Assistance Division. Today was the kickoff for our shared services, where Portage County and 3 other counties are now sharing Medicaid calls. I talked to you about that a few months ago, so it's exciting for us. But in preparation for that, I felt that we needed to expand our interpreter services in our JFS. So Joanne will be submitting a contract to you in the near future. The organization is called Language Line Services. The contract is $3,000 a year. We're only billed, or it's only, that $3,000 is only going to be used for actual services. And that allows our caseworkers to contact an interpreter over the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Civil Rights Act in 1964 does not allow us to delay or deny a service because of somebody's inability to speak English. So this allows us to have immediate access to interpreter, so it keeps us compliant. And also, we don't know the different clients we'll be working with the other counties, so we'll be able to have those services over the phone. We're not going to terminate any other contracts. We have a contract with the International Institute of Akron for face-to-face, so we'll maintain that contract. This will just be an added service and allow us to be compliant with federal
So
legislation.
the budget is up to 3,000.
Yeah.
You don't need it, no charge.
They don't charge it, right, so it could be less than that. And we might have to bring it back if we do, surpass that, but I don't think that will happen. So that was 1C. 1D, our driving job descriptions. I'm asking the board to support adding the ability to operate a motor vehicle on our child support specialist job descriptions, as well as our eligibility specialist job descriptions. You're probably seeing a large amount of requests for training that you're signing, or you're reviewing those. And those are because we are going to the state, to Columbus and other neighboring counties on a regular basis in preparation for the Medicaid age-blind and disabled programs into our system. So the state's requiring us to travel to central locations. So driving would be a benefit to be on their job descriptions, because we don't have a lot of county vehicles to share. And so I'm asking for you all to support that.
Yes, and they'll be reimbursed, of course, mileage.
Yes. So you,
Can we interest you in some slightly used 200,000 mile
200,000 miles. No,
utility vehicles? No. Okay.
I will pass on that.
All right, fine, thank
Okay.
you. Okay.
That we went over 1E, and so 1F, I'd like to go over the agency data report that I bring to you monthly. There's just a few items on there. On the first page, I just wanted to draw your attention to the Medicaid column. And again, under the Affordable Care Act, we are regularly enrolling new applicants. So we did see about 200 new residents in Portage County qualify for Medicaid since February. On the bottom of that page, just interesting statistics that we received less calls and public assistance, from 7,600 to 6,900, so about 700 less, but we saw more people in our lobbies. So 300 more
they're
people.
coming in instead of
Yeah.
calling.
And so that's just an interesting statistic. Page 2, just wanted to draw your attention under the Ohio Means Jobs section, the site visits. You'll see in February we did 2, and in March we did 63.
Wow.
That is because of the summer youth program. We visited a lot of businesses, encouraging them to work with our youth, so that's a factual number. Page 3, Child Protective Services under the Children's Services bracket. New cases assigned, we had an increase of about 20 more cases, 142 in total in March. Regarding adoptions, we had 1 adoption that was finalized in March. That's a great thing.
Congratulations.
Yep. And we did see a reduce under the total children in custody of 6 children that were reunited or adopted, so that's a positive. On page 4, the only thing I wanted to draw your attention to in child support, the very last box, the total amount of child support dispersed.
Wow.
In February, we dispersed $1.9 million, but in March, $2.7 million. So more child support is getting to the families and children.
Fantastic.
Yep. So the rest is kind of similar data.
May I ask you, if you go back to page, I think, 3,
Uh-huh.
the influx of the new cases, can you associate that with drug activity? Any parallel?
Yes, and actually, too, the state Job and Family Services are conducting a survey right now on heroin and cases related to that. So I'll be able to present you with a formal report on Portage County. They're looking at all counties once they finalize. So we provided them with our data. They'll give us the outcome report, and I can provide that to you.
That would be wonderful.
And on Monday, myself and 6 child protective workers are going to an opiate conference in Columbus, Monday and Tuesday. So we'll also learn about some other interventions and maybe some funding sources that are available.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So my very last item is just a discussion. I don't have any supplemental material for you, but the lease at the Chestnut Building that we're utilizing is up June 30th. And I would like to ask your opinions if the board would consider allowing us to look at a long-term external facility for our jobs division. When we talk about case management, we do know Portage County will receive an additional $1.4 million in the next state fiscal year to support this new initiative. That funding is going to allow us to hire more case managers here. We will be able to provide more funds to community partners to provide services, but it also would give us funds to possibly look at leasing a space or from whomever. And we think that having a presence, the Ohio Means Jobs Resource Center at a facility that has a more dominant presence, and maybe putting that job staff all together would be beneficial. So I wanted to see if I could get your blessings to start the research on what's available in the community.
Absolutely.
The building that we're at now, just so you know, that that owner has no longer has a tenant where the tanning booths are at, so he approached us, but I know that I needed to come to you and see if we could explore the options before we're formal in our,
Yes,
that would be okay?
sure. I can tell you too, though I won't disclose it, we've been approached by someone else, another entity that wants to make a presentation to us about some additional space available.
Okay.
But I'll just We
Yeah.
can share that with you in executive session later.
That's fine.
So sure, yes, go ahead.
I'll research and see what's available in the community square footage wise. I know some information, but again, we'll have the additional funds to be able to support it. And we wouldn't vacate much space here if we did that because we're expanding in our public assistance division too, so we could probably maybe vacate some space on the first floor, but definitely we could use it for our other divisions too.
No, well, actually, that may come as welcome news. I think I'm ahead of the Board of Elections, but I mean, that's.
We would probably vacate the whole entire first floor. We only have because that's our job
When can you
center.
pack?
Well,
No, I'm just.
but I mean, that's the job staff there, and then we have a pocket of job staff on the second floor, so that would be the
Sure.
team with the case managers that we would look for a one-stop shop for all of them.
Well, maybe you would want to relocate some of your, I don't know, second floor people. I mean, it just seems, no matter what you do to your space in this old building, the older building,
It's difficult,
it's
the configuration.
It's hideous.
It
Let's
is.
call them as we see them.
Well, I appreciate your support in us looking, so, and next month's meeting, I hope to bring some more information. Okay?
I'm sure you will.
Sorry. Thank you. That was it.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. All right. Have a
Thanks
good
for
day.
indulging me the.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we seeing her later for the evaluation?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, she's the one, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, can we break for lunch?
Oh,
Yes,
gosh.
I'm going to make a run for our lunch, so tell me what you want.
You know, I'm not picky, so whatever you and Maureen want
What
is
do you
fine
want,
with me.
Maureen? You get to choose.
Where are you going? Oops, excuse me. Okay. First of all, let me settle my debts. Kathleen?
I was going to say, the money comes to us. You know that's good.
I'm sorry, Kathleen.
You know,
I'm so
put it towards the next salary.
Which one do you guys want?
We had money in here this morning too for the kids, so.
Just put it towards the next salary. Okay.
And Kathleen was our runner today for lunch.
Yes, she was. And she doesn't look at all winded, right? I mean, she's. Okay.
Good recovery period.
Service.
Yes, thank you for that. It was wonderful. Okay.
Take it
Okay,
away.
good. Well, so we're here to talk about our RFP process for identifying a credit card servicer and also someone who can do online bill payment, phone bill payment, mobile apps, in-office credit and debit card payment, e-bill distribution, and the back-end stuff that goes with those. So a lot in this RFP, obviously. We sent it out on the 18th to 9 folks who had expressed some interest in responding to the proposal. We got proposal responses back on Monday from 5 responders. Two additional folks said that they couldn't respond, and then the other 2 we didn't hear from. So that's the breakdown there. So you all got earlier this week copies of the 5 plus our letter from Chase Bank saying they couldn't complete the response in the time allotted. And having reviewed those, Dennis and I both spent some time looking at them this week. And I've prepared a little bit of a little statement here, just kind of regarding what our thoughts were about those. But the upshot of that is that, rather than ask you today to select one of them, we have a couple outstanding questions we want to ask our couple of finalists just to kind of get some more clarification on some things. And I was hoping that we could come back next Thursday and do this again at that point, just to sort of do the final piece of it after we've had a chance to get some more info. That should still give us time to get a proposal to the data processing board on the 9th and keep us on track for the timeline we had in mind. So,
My thoughts are on this, though, Brett. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about it and everything, but we're going to rely on you.
Yes.
And you. To kind of help us make this decision because you know exactly what you want and what you're looking for.
okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, just very quickly to go through these then, ACI Worldwide is the name of the company that bought our current provider official payments. So they had a response They had the highest rate of any of our responders on a per transaction basis of 2.75%, with a $3.95 minimum for users. I'm not going to get into the check rate stuff because I don't believe that we're looking at doing electronic checks at this point. Most of the folks were $1.50. There was one that was less than that, but that seems to be pretty standard across all the proposals. So they're outstanding pieces. They are a current service provider. They provide a full service spectrum to lots of other Ohio counties. They have a long history with us. I think maybe you signed up with them at one point, if not before you. So it's been a while with them. So we know that works on the backside. And their off-the-shelf mobile app that they have is actually pretty cool. We got a chance to check that out, and it looked like it would be pretty neat. However, I had some concerns with the fact that they marked their entire proposal as confidential. That was in direct contravention of something that I put in the RFP, which then is that the whole thing can't be confidential because it's a public record. So only your finances really fall into that, or trade secrets. So that was a little bit alarming. Their web platform is going to be the same one that we have now. Part of the reason we wanted to do an RFP was because that web platform is not terribly usable. It's not very intuitive. It requires the user to put a lot of the data in, which creates a lot of opportunity for error. So that's a little disconcerting. Their point-of-sale system for counters appears to be very basic, just a swipe that plugs into the online system, and that didn't seem to have any plans to make that chip card compliant, which, as we move toward that, is going to be a concern. And I didn't really like that their bill presentment option didn't mirror the look and feel of the other options. So, in other words, if you were to look up your electronic payment or your electronic bill through them, it wouldn't look like it does other places. So that was a little bit of a concern. Point and Pay, which was the orange umbrella one here, very similar. They were 2.5% for credit or non-Visa debit cards with a $2 minimum, $3.95 for a flat Visa debit, which I like. So there was at least a debit option at a much more minimal price point, which is attractive for users and will probably assist us in getting more folks to use it. They have relationships with other government service providers in Ohio, including 7 county treasurers. Their web product is mobile optimized. They have a process that they call Never Down that lets the payment always be available. And I know that was a concern we've had with official payments, is that it is very kind of intermittently usable.
We get emails probably 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
They're having issues.
Yeah, so it's a little clunky. And then their look and feel can be matched across different types of payment, which I think is important. I want folks to have the security of knowing this is in fact Portage County, because it'll look and feel the same to them when they use it, no matter how they're paying. They have strong security protocols. I felt that was a strength of their presentation. And that the response was good. I did not love that they did not supply us financials, but they did provide us some of their credit ratings and some of their business growth curves. Also, I know that some of the product lines they're going to be offering to do for us will be new products for them. They have acquired another company that they're integrating to do some of that with, so the mobile stuff in particular is going to be newish for them, so that's a little bit of a concern. Sturgis was Dennis's favorite. Sturgis, because their product is really nice. They're one that is used by Medina County, and I think Geauga County also uses Sturgis. Their card rate was 2.2%, which was one of the lower ones across the board, but it was across the board, so there was no cheaper rate for debit card users. Their search is intuitive, so it's more like Google. So you can find yourself just by typing in your name or your parcel or whatever it is, and it pulls up your information, which is kind of nice. They have great reviews from the folks who use them. I know from speaking to those treasurers that they like Sturgis quite a bit, and all of their product is strong. The concern with this one was cost. They have
hit them with the cost.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If you want to talk about paying for it, we can do this one. But they have a $1,000 one-time setup fee that they charge. There are charges for card readers at probably $425 a piece for 2 of those. And then there's an ongoing charge of $500 a month for software upkeep and maintenance. So, every other model, you would maybe have a one-time charge for a couple pieces of hardware, and then it's free because the money they generate is off of the transactions, obviously. Sturgis would be generating transaction revenue in addition to getting a fee from us. So it's a good product. We like it a lot, but it's expensive. So
frugal Dennis, I can't even imagine you saying.
You know what I said to him.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So.
So you were being facetious. I didn't pick up on
No,
that,
but it
Brad.
was.
He said this would be great, but
absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, just I was sitting there when we were in the presentation going, wow, wow, and the rest of them are just kind of.
Yeah.
You pay for it.
Well, and we would add, so we did get presentations from, before the RFP went out, from value payments from Sturgis and Point and Pay, when we were doing kind of our initial shopping before we knew we had to do the process. So we kind of had some familiarity with some of these going in. Yeah. Value payment systems is another one here, so no cost of any kind for any of the hardware, which is, at least that's not something we're going to need to clarify with them. One thing that both Point and Pay and this one can do is a kiosk, which we thought was attractive, because it will help us to, ameliorate concerns with the lines. So if we have a kiosk, we can just kind of point card users over there and get them out of the line during peak time, which was
that's one of my
is one of Dennis's big concerns, right? Their fee rates were good. They gave us 3 different fee structures. The most affordable of which was 2.35% for credit cards, and $3.95 for most debit cards. So not
How much for the debit?
$3.95 is a flat fee.
More expensive for debit than credit?
Less, so it's 2.2% of the total bill for credit, which works out to being more than $4 for most people. So that's.
I think our average payment is roughly in the, say, $750 to $900, $1,000 range. That's like average, because you'll have some that are way up there, and then others that are
Right. So you're
$50.
talking at least 10. Yeah. So I mean, it's a significantly cheaper rate. Our current service rate is 3% for all almost all credit card transactions. So all of these are better than that. So that's the good news. But this is, I think, the second lowest option for credit cards, and again, the cheapest for debit and the most accessible for all different versions of a debit card. It's not just Visa, which was attractive.
Kind of says it all right there.
Yeah. They. So and you can do multiple parcels and a number of other things that are very kind of similar across the platforms. The concern with these folks is the lack of presence in the state of Ohio. To this point, we don't know that they have any Ohio clients. I'm going to ask them to follow up on that.
Please tell me they're not from Texas.
No, this one I believe is based. This one's Tennessee.
Okay.
ACI is based in Omaha. Point and Pay is based in Florida. Sturgis is in South Carolina. Value Payments is in Tennessee, and Visual Gov is in Miami.
There's nothing in Ohio?
There aren't really a lot of folks who do this at the scale that these folks do this in Ohio. There's a couple of folks who do it, but we didn't have any responders either. So that's part of it.
Shouldn't be so flippant. And of course, I have to go back to the dark ages when I served as treasurer. But probably there was no other provider than the one we had.
I think you're right.
But also, at that point when the state had to adopt become more stringent and the investment policies, and those were very restricted. There was a saying, nothing good ever came out of Texas. Financially. I mean, financially.
I'm not touching that one.
Financial services.
Yeah.
Yes, because unfortunately the provider that the county had previously was a Texas-based, and it was.
Yeah, so I'll leave that one alone. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just talking about financial services.
Yeah. So so this one was pretty good. The follow up with them is going to be is the hardware in fact free? What about the Ohio presence, and what's your ability to do e-billing? The last one, just to kind of wrap this up, is Visual Gov. They did have a price point for their hardware. They were the second highest credit card rate. It was a flat rate against all transactions of 2.49%. They had nice mobile options, but again, no presence in Ohio. And throughout their response, they made repeated statements regarding the lack of a pending purchase by another company and the lack of pending legal action. They were kind of very clear that they weren't going to supply financials in any instance, which I, again, have had some concerns about. And so that's kind of where that one was. So looking at those across the board, it looks like kind of the leaders in the clubhouse would be Point and Pay and Value Payment Systems. They kind of have the most capacity to do what we asked them to do. They're comparably inexpensive. And so it'll just be a matter of following up to see, in fact, does that hold true down the line, or are there some hidden costs we're not seeing there? So it'll probably be one of those two. We come back next week and say, this is the one we like on. So that I believe is where we're at. And then the final caveat was that we did like Sturgis, so if you want to pay for it, we can have that conversation, but providing that nobody thinks we're going to pay for it, yeah.
I think concerning Sturgis, can you negotiate those fees, like a $500 a month is a lot? We wouldn't mind the one-time only fee.
Yeah, right.
And then you'd have to pay for card readers, did you say, or?
Yeah, most of the very basic card reader, which is just a mag strip that feeds into a desktop computer, is included in all the platforms. Anything beyond that, most of them require us to pay for. Value payments may not. And that's the one that may not have a cost associated with it.
So if you really, really love Sturgis, you could probably bring them in for an interview with the idea of negotiating a different price.
Yeah, and we talked to them when we did, because we did, when was that? Probably in February or March, when we did our, it might have been before that, but we did their presentation. We asked them that question, I think, because we both were kind of like, ouchie on the price point. And they were pretty adamant that needed to be what it is.
They have a good product.
Yeah, and that was his statement. He said, we know our product is top of the line, and so we can ask him again, certainly.
There's a lot of counties in Ohio, and that could even catch on if, the treasurer's conference, and you say, this is really a great product, can't you use that?
Well, Jog and Medina, which are, Jog is contributing to us, they're using it, and that speaks volumes.
They're using Sturgis?
Yeah. You said.
Yeah, Medina and Jog are using Sturgis.
Jog are using Sturgis, yeah.
Right.
And I see the smile on your face when you mention it, so both of you. So, it must be something that you're very enamored with or appreciate. So you should be able to have what you want, and hopefully you maybe can.
Well, if we pay for it, they can have what they want.
Yeah. We'll do a little more diligence. Yeah, but
was that a yes?
No, but you should be able to negotiate, as Kathleen suggested, maybe negotiate down.
Maybe call Jogga and Medina and find out what they're paying.
Yeah.
Is that 500
Sure.
like customer service and everything though?
Yeah.
It's 6,000 a year isn't outrageous.
It's not terrible. No, again, the cost is a concern, but also it seems like if we can get debit cards for much cheaper, because Sturgis has one flat rate, so that's the other thing too we need to look at.
I think that's attractive because I never use a debit card.
No? Okay.
No, because they're risky. So, I can see the benefit because the money's there, so you don't have to take a chance on someone not having good credit.
That's true.
I'm just laughing at you because the first time I said, yes, do you want to use debit or credit? I'm thinking, what are you talking about here?
Yeah, plus or minus? Yeah.
I talk about antiquated. What are you talking about?
I never use a debit card. It's too risky.
I don't.
If you use it as a credit card, it's the same as the credit card.
No.
Because you don't put your pen in.
No, because with the debit card, there's no backing of the federal government insurance. So if you use credit card, you have.
I don't use debit card either.
Well, I've had a mischarge on my debit
I do.
card.
For almost everything.
Credit card, and the bank made it right away.
Yeah.
We should get a Cabela's Visa.
What's an card that you used?
No, it was a debit card, but I use it as a credit card, therefore I don't have to put my pen in.
Oh,
I just use it as a credit card.
Oh my gosh! Someone starts asking me for a PIN, I start. Oh no.
Yeah,
Your
so you can
debit
do
card
that.
can be used as a
And that would be the way this would work. We wouldn't be asking for PIN numbers. It would be the credit-backed debit transaction, if that makes any sense.
You appreciate that.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. Just wanted to give you a quick update on that, and we will check into those two, and we'll have another conversation with Sturgis about how firm is your fee structure piece. So
then are you going to ask the commissioners again how firm is their no?
That's right. On a scale of 1 to right.
Just tell them you don't want to go in there and deal with those people. So,
I saw your face light up when we talked about it.
Let's get that down.
In the whole scheme of things, with our budget, $6,000 a year is.
Yeah, it's pretty
Well,
minimal.
that's what Todd said. These are finance guys.
I'm agreeing with.
Todd said yes.
Oh my gosh, you agree with them too?
Especially if customer service is
Yes.
included, that's
Yes,
outrageous. And if the interface is that much better, particularly given property taxes and who pays them, the easier and the more friendly it is, the more likely people are to use it,
Sure.
in which case we're going to save ourselves in terms of financial costs
Yeah.
elsewhere.
You got your payments faster as well.
Well, that too, but.
You guys want to vote now?
Yeah, strike while the iron's hot. We'll go back down and do our diligence and come back. Yeah,
But if they're that much better, I mean, again, the user interface, particularly the dollar.
yeah. I don't mean to oversell. They're good. We'll take a look at it. So, yeah.
The magic word's customer service. And
Yeah.
It says it all.
Well, and entry point is the other thing I'm looking at. So that's the other piece of that. But we're gonna.
You'll come back with a
Yeah,
recommendation.
we will.
I can see it, you have a
Absolutely.
huge decision.
Yeah, it's a good thing. They're all competitive. They all could do it, which is the nice thing.
Do you
So.
need our books, because I have them in my office?
Oh, yeah.
No, that's okay. Those are yours. I've got my originals here. So
Okay.
Thank you.
please, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you then. Thanks a lot.
Very thorough, thank you. Thank you both for coming up. Good afternoon, come on up.
How are you?
Good, yourselves?
Good seeing you again.
Absolutely. Oh, yes, oh, I'm sorry, nice to see you too.
Chandler?
Yeah. All right. Oh, now, wait a minute, if I thought that was gonna happen, I'd leap over the other.
I always get myself in trouble.
Oh, no,
I remember Fred from the school bus all the time.
yeah.
Maureen, when we were at IC, I remember him on the school bus all the time. I'd walk out and he'd be in the morning, "Hey, Vicki!"
No, I haven't changed.
No, that's fine. I said if I knew you were going to get a hug, I'd have scurried on over there too.
Okay.
Hi, Brad.
How y'all doing?
Come up. Yeah. Would you like to come up? I mean,
Sure.
yeah.
Come on down.
Yeah. Come on up.
Come on up. Come on down.
If there aren't enough chairs, we'll bring some more up.
That's right.
Come on up, please.
It's still raining, isn't it?
You know, I haven't even been looking outside.
It is a cold rain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's April.
Yeah, right.
Lucky it's not snowing.
Oh, I know.
You know, Sharon, I've got the heater on in my office.
Oh, I don't blame you. I would. Good. I know a lot of people have turned their furnaces off, not we yet.
This will be a good night for the NFL football draft.
Yes, it will. I'm looking forward to it.
Are
Tonight,
you
tomorrow,
really?
and the
I
next
mean,
day.
are you looking forward for the aspect of the Browns?
Okay,
Because
wrong team.
oh my gosh, I couldn't believe they traded that number 2 quickly, but just what I wanted to. Really?
I'm kind of hoping that my team decides to come down. They've got the Broncos on this one. They would trade down.
Yeah, I just figured, you know. Well, you know what? You're probably right because they need every position. I mean, they need almost every position. I think they need improvement in most all of the positions.
Really got it.
Well, I'm just hoping they get some receivers, people that can catch the ball and run with it, and
Not
somebody
just
that can
play football. Our only measure is whether or not they're playing.
Yeah, you have to have people that. You don't have to have.
oh, no, agreed. Well, don't they say some of the highest paid football players are the ones that are in the offensive line?
As they should be.
Yes, that do protect the.
They're the ones that are good about it.
No, you're right. Unless there's a gaping hole, then you're.
Come on up, guys.
How long have you had this one?
Actually, I've had it, this is going on about 6 months, I think. Did you like it? Yeah, but it did locally.
Yeah, you had like an open house or a...
Yeah. We had a local designer, a lady based in Inventor, that actually did that.
Good morning, Larry.
Good morning. We bought local. In fact, we're right now working on our website, and we're working with Full Spectrum, which is part of Dick's Communication, and they're upgrading our website as we speak. Knock on wood.
And that Andrew Biggs, who is the person I think
Yeah.
in charge of that.
Yeah. I don't know if you have seen our cards and all that, but this is what our cards keep.
Oh, yeah, they have their whole thing.
Oh, there we go. Oh, and wow, I'm giving out gifts. Let me give out a bunch of other ones here.
Yeah, see, they're all coordinated.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, I
News
thought we listed
reports?
them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Take some more. Give them to friends and family.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I mentioned this to Vicki after the meeting. Remember, we had some limited discussion about it would be different to get back to the study settlement of the report. And I referenced, RPC because they have very
Yes.
precise, very, something nice as this. And
We were following no counterintuitive.
yes, and I thought that you did it in fact. It's still so concise and so bright and so effective.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think she also designed the logo for the city. Taylor, where are you? Taylor, where?
Yes, right.
She is really good, and in fact, she did help us work on the annual report as well, too.
Yes.
I'm not sure. Rings a bell. Let me take a quick look at this. Susan, that sounds like we're in the ballpark there.
Oh, there's
Oh, that's easy. We have so many people we have to remember in our world, so. Yeah.
well, she can call in this year and we'll
That's great. Happy to give her credit. Susan Mackle.
Susan
Yeah.
Mackle, yes, that's right.
Mackle Graphic Design.
Yes, right there I can see the sign.
South Prospect. Yes, Susan Mackle. If all of those are playing the game at home, that's the person, and an excellent designer.
And we should probably contact her for.
Sure.
Our rates, by the way, are fairly reasonable.
Yeah, they are.
Not all of overhead, so it's good.
It was so simple. It's just
Oh yeah, it is. I like the color scheme as well too. To me, that it talks about growth. Or about exactly. Exactly. Oh, on to the show here. Okay. Today we actually are talking about two enterprise zone agreements. One is a new enterprise zone agreement for an expansion that is being contemplated here in the county, and the second one is for an amendment for another expansion. Both are taking place in the city of Ravenna. I have today folks with me today, the mayor and members of the city council. The first one we're going to be talking about is an enterprise zone agreement between Cerna and Sons Inc., STV Investment Ltd., and the city of Ravenna and the county of Portage.
Before you get started, Brad,
Certainly.
I just ask you a question. I know all through this it was talking about STV Investments Limited, Cerna and Sons, and then on one of the signature pages it had STV Investments Limited, DBA, doing business as. So
Right.
is that the same business?
Yes, I think STV is Serena, Thomas, and Vincent.
Okay.
The civics,
So this
correct.
is like the parent of
Right.
DBA.
Right, they own the real estate under a separate company and lease it back to Cerna and Sons.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty much standard operating procedure.
No, I think that
Right.
came up moons ago. I think that's what when we first looked at it.
Yeah, we'll see a similar thing too, just with the Paris agreement as well too. We're looking over there, and it's RMP Real Estate, which is just their real estate folks. It's pretty much standard operating procedure. Just a quick overview of the project. Cerna & Sons and STV Investments are proposing to expand their existing facility. They're proposing to construct another 54,000 square feet, which will consist of about 42,000 square feet of warehouse, which will include refrigeration, and a new freezer unit. I think it's the first freezer unit that they're bringing into the community. And 13 new truck docks. They're also looking at more office space. And this is the total real estate portion of this project is about $7.2 million. And they're looking to create about 45 new jobs here over the next 3 years. And part of this, from what we understand from the company, I'll let my colleagues here put in as well, is that they're expanding their reach. They've evidently just recently have concluded some arrangements where they pretty much, through two other operations, one in Norwalk, I think one in the southern part of the state, cover pretty much the state of Ohio. But this is an interesting, because they're also getting deeper and deeper into Pennsylvania. In fact, I think their reach is getting out as far east as Altoona. And, of course, that encompasses West Virginia as well, too. So they're really bringing in more business from outside the state into our community here. Yep, and so it's kind of neat. Folks, you guys want to add?
It's just an exciting group to work with. I went out to meet them. That's the one visit I made. I think you weren't with me. Rick Coe told me that I should go out and see them. And so I did. And very nice people, very open. We did do an enterprise plan for them when they built the first time out there, and that just expired, I think, at this point in time. And they're looking at doing 100, and they're working with the schools. We met with the schools, and MDS and sat down, and they hammered out, the schools support this. They say anything that brings money into the community, they understand. So I drive by that place about 4 or 5 or 6 times a day because I have a farm up on Peck Road. And I always look over there at all those businesses when I go by because you get kind of a quick reading how things are going with them. And at their place, the semis, when they line up, come down Peck Road when you get into unload. Then they've got a huge fleet of trucks that they send out every day. And I think there's people from this location that get as far as Columbus.
Yeah.
So, and the nice thing about it, it's a family business, but there's not just one. I get real nervous when there's just one, like we had with the glass fella out there, and something happens to them.
Everything's gone.
It's
right?
gone. It just disappears. Yeah. So, but this business, they're clever about what they do, and I think they're good horses.
Yeah, in fact, I'm glad you brought up the whole family thing with regards to succession. They already have another generation that is now, learning the ropes and picking up the whole thing. So when these 3 siblings move on, there is another group of family right behind them. In fact, as serendipity would have it, we just got the Crane's business this week. And coming in at number 15 on the largest family-owned businesses in Northeast Ohio is Cerna & Sons.
Oh, wow. Again, this goes back to, this has been working and meeting and so there's family oriented. I appreciate the community.
That tells you kind of how they're going to do business.
Right.
Exactly.
And they're very community-oriented as well, too. They traditionally have usually been our first help on Leadership Portage for our business day. And, also, too, just to let you know, too, that the city is not the only one involved in this project. The Neighborhood Development Services is involved in the project as well as Jobs Ohio. And so it's a group effort to help keep these folks here and help them grow here.
What do they do?
Pardon?
What do they do?
They are wholesalers that deliver all types of food to restaurants, businesses, anything that uses food, hotels, you name it.
Institutions?
So they make salads and the ingredients for salads.
They have a pretty full line of food available.
It's fruits and vegetables primarily.
Actually, see, we've had salads for and that's why the focus on the salads. And I think do they deliver well? I mean, will they come here? I'm sorry, I'm just being facetious.
No.
But some of their products probably were in those salads.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is really good for the community. It's all 10 year. They've made it right for the schools, and it's 45 new employees over a 3-year period, so it should pay off really well. It's a win-win, a win-win. Are we ready to make a motion?
Oh, certainly, yes.
Make a motion that we enter into an agreement within the rural enterprise zone of the city of Ravenna, Ohio, with STB Investments Ltd. and Cerna and Sons Incorporated tax abatement agreement for real property only.
Second. Any further discussion? If not, Sharon, go ahead. If you want to add anything. Certainly, go ahead. Anything you
Bree
can.
said has to be true, we're just really proud of what
Oh, yes, I was really excited to see this.
You know, I've done business with Cerna and Sons and Southern Possibility. Fantastic family, fantastic company. If you ever have an opportunity to go out and go to their facility, take a jacket first.
Especially now they got the freezer in there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that freezer is very interesting because the fact that they're bringing that in, they're expanding their property or their product line now. So more reason to be of assistance to them because they are growing with new products. So, fantastic.
I'm just curious, like with the hospital, we buy food from them, restaurants and everything.
It's
Our local restaurants.
They also they would sell to, for instance, prisons. Yeah, I mean any institution or any facility that would buy fresh vegetables and fruit.
If we want another guided tour weekend, call if I mean.
I'd be more than happy to set it up for you.
And you'll supply the gloves to do it.
You might want to go when they finish the project. It's going to be a little mess out there for a while.
We'll look forward to that.
And then we have another one.
Yes, well, first we have to vote. So, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Done deal.
Thank you. Our second presentation today, we've been working on this project, I think, for a couple of years now. Harris Industries is still planning to expand its facility in the city of Ravenna. What they're going to be doing is they're basically they're increasing their capacity by another 50% by adding another 20,000 square feet to the building and adding another line to process clothing. Basically, and Frank and I had made a march through there too. It's another interesting facility to get a chance to see how they bring. You could. It is another fascinating facility to see and how what they do. They had been delayed because they had been looking at a project over in Pennsylvania, and it just came up. And it was one of those things that it was an offer too good to refuse. However, what happened is that it too was tied to incentives over in Pennsylvania, and unfortunately our colleagues in Pennsylvania have gone, I think, 9 months without a budget. I think they recently passed a budget, but things are still in a bit of disarray over there. So that kind of threw their timeline for their Southeast Pennsylvania project off completely. And so now they could focus on the Ravenna project again. And so what we're asking today is an amendment to the original agreement, and we're removing basically the dates up for the job creation, for the period of the construction, and also for the period of the actual abatement itself. And it's just to reflect that they're looking more of a starting time this summer, as opposed to when they were originally looking at it. Right?
It's another good company. One of the things I look for when I go through these companies is people that I knew from school. And I always feel good when there are students there that I know they're hiring Ravenna people, and they're Ravenna people in these businesses that make a good living right here in town.
I've been out there a couple of times, and I think one of the things that sticks in my mind is the importance and emphasis they put on the employees. Yes. And knowing everything that we're doing today in the sense of labor force and trying to attract and keep these employees.
Right.
That struck me, and I think the day we were out there, we were celebrating an expansion, a milestone, and being there. And they were having a banquet. They provided lunch for all the employees, and actually sat down with them and So that was, we didn't sit down with them, but you could see the, again, the emphasis that
You know, Maureen, along those lines, that is one of the few companies that I know of that actually gives second chances to felons.
Yeah.
And they've had some great success in doing that. And so that makes me think very highly of them.
Sure.
And I've known several individuals that have come through there and it's really just turned their lives around. So that's a great aspect.
Recently also too, they've been in connection with Passages as well too. Again, the same population group, and again, this is a great place, and they really invested folks.
Are you ready for a motion? Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. It's a very important. Yes, we are.
I make a motion that the First Amendment entered into on the 21st day of March 2016 by and between Harris Clears Incorporated, R&P Real Estate, the second LLC, R&P Real Estate, the City of Ravenna, and the Portage County Board of Commissioners.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call. Yes.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
That's, we need one of those staples, but.
Yes, thank you.
You know, as you said yesterday, anytime that we can see.
This is good stuff.
Our help.
We appreciate your help on this. It's
Yes.
a great deal.
These are examples of what the enterprise zones are at.
Oh, I agree.
And we have a few more that may be looking at expansion.
That's great.
Seal Spring, he thought he wouldn't fill that building. Mark Knapp, and
Yeah.
he says, I'm out of space.
Oh, I tell you, Mark, I met Mark years and years ago. He and his wife came to my office, and I tell you, they impressed me from day one.
Yes.
I don't think he can go on vacation without, he says if he sees stuff along the side of the road, he jumps out to see if it's, and when he sees other things that they don't make, he has diversified.
Yeah.
And so his downtime has leveled out in his business. But they're thinking every day about how they can do it better.
Wow. Yeah, he's quite a guy.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, folks. Have a great day.
I'm glad to have the opportunity to work more closely with you guys. And I see more and more that we are very entwined. And we need
Keep bringing these
to
to us.
work with each other.
These are the, we always welcome this opportunity. Expansion and retention, anything that can be done.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope we'll be back with a bag full.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for your time.
Stay warm and stay dry.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Fred. Thank you.
I like meetings like that.
Okay. Gosh, I'm glad that Susan's name, came back up. Because again, I can see that sign and pass it every day.
And, she works from her home, but I mean, she's very, and I think that's one reason she can be so reasonable, too.
I'm sure you're right. Oh, I kept his,
He
Crane's Business Daily. I'm sure he has me. But it is
rated number 15.
Okay, so I have to, do I have to give it up? Oh, all right. Okay, that's fine. American Greetings is on there, if you know, but the Acme, the Albright thing on the fire. I know Gallon is. Okay, so you'll have this week. Unless he comes right back and wants it. We may. Okay, so. Okay, our next thing is executive session. So are we? Oh, is what? Oh, Kelly Jo. Yeah, we had talked about a couple of things. One of them, I think this morning, I'm trying to think if we did ask you to facilitate it, about contacting the one applicant for the position.
We should start going into the, okay. Make a motion, go into executive session for the purpose of Appointment and employment dismissal, discipline, promotion, promotion, or compensation of public employee official or investigation of charges of complaints against a public employee official like to see it regulated in the protocol.
Second.
Any further discussion, if not, a roll call?
Kelly, do roll call when she comes in.
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we could. I don't know, mess up the calendar. I want to make sure that it's time compatible with all of our schedules, so I can try and make sure ask for the right times
No, we just want to do it as a separate time. I make a motion to come out of the executive session.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion to, a motion to approve the journal entry report today.
Second.
Yes. Yes. Any other business? A motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 I'll get this down to, Gina. No, I'll get there.
We should go ahead and contact